Twilight Gets a Puppy. By TDR. Chapter 29. Friendship is Puppies. Episode 2. Part 5. Everfree Forest. Just me, Thunderlane and Raindrops are full-time, Flitter and the others are part-timers who show up when we need more wings in the air. Rainbow Dash explained her job as the group walked along the path. With the weather the Everfree kicks up, we really need a full crew, but we don't have the budget for it and we're too far out of the way to get Cloudsdale to send us some extra help unless the city's nearby. I mean, I'm awesome, but I can only do so much against wild storms on my own. Sounds like quite an issue. I'm pretty sure Canterlot's weather patrol is fully staffed. I'm surprised they haven't sent anyone down here to help. I'm sure some Pegasus would want the overtime. Twilight suggested. Tried that. None of them want to come down and deal with wild storms, too dangerous. On top of the mountain like that, they're all cushy and they don't even have to do much aside from make some rain or snow every so often to keep the place from drying out. Rainbow Dash snorted. Whole office up there is a bunch of lazy trust fund fools who've never worked a day in their lives. I had no idea weather management was such a chore. Rarity pointed out. The job's fine. Fun even sometimes, setting up the weather and everything's the easy part, the paperwork though. Rainbow Dash shuddered. Woof. Ross questioned. Ha 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 ha. Good one, Ross, the mayor supply a budget to the weather team. Pinkie Pie laughed. Pinkie's got a point. Mayor's not a bad sort but she's notorious for being tight with tha bits. Applejack added. If ya didn't notice that town hall's in pretty bad shape under all that decoration. Surprised Nightmare. Black Snooty. Pinkie Pie corrected. Didn't drop the whole thing on our heads. Applejack concluded, rolling her eyes. What does she spend the money on? Twilight asked. Repairs to public and private property mostly. Rarity chimed in. The town has a ridiculously large disaster budget that gets depleted nearly every year due to something or another coming out of the Everfree. One cannot even get proper property insurance in town anymore unless you have more bits to spend than what you wish to protect. That doesn't even sound right. Why would anyone even live here if it's like that? Twilight asked. Families owned our land since near the founding of that town. Applejack replied. Property is very affordable. Rarity sighed. Ridiculously so. I barely had to take out a loan for shop space in the center of town. There's so many animals around in the forest, Fluttershy uttered. Better than a rock farm. Pinkie Pie offered. Ya gotta live somewhere. Sides Rarity's making it sound worse than it really is. At most a monster shows up once a week and more often than not it doesn't do anything or only breaks a few things. Last time we had something really big going on it wasn't even from the forest. Rainbow Dash shrugged, glancing to Applejack at her last comment. Usually on a Tuesday. Pinkie Pie pointed out. River's a good shipping lane plus we're pretty close to Canterlot compared to most towns. So something does happen, the guards usually get here pretty quick. Applejack sighed. Only really bad thing is it tends to make ponies kinda jittery bout things. I assume ya met tha flower trio. Flower trio? Twilight asked. Couple of mares that run tha flower shop. Skittish things. We used to use them as sorta a warning sign that something might be up. They'd run and hide when anything they didn't recognize popped up. Social butterfly types otherwise. Applejack explained. Gossip hens too. Woof. Ross questioned. Yepers. Used to. About a year ago the town got invaded by star spiders. Every pony was freaking out except those three. Along with Fluttershy they just wandered around town and shoved the spiders into bags and boxes and dumped them at the edge of the forest. Pinkie Pie chimed in with a shudder. Wait, so the three most skittish mares in town. Twilight looked at Fluttershy. 4 most skittish mares in town, went out and got rid of a swarm of spiders that every other pony in town was scared of. In their defense, star spiders do get pretty big. Fluttershy added. How big? Twilight asked. About the size of your head big, on average. There were bigger and smaller. Rarity sighed. The trio seemed more annoyed at them than scared though. It was strange. I find it hard to believe you three were scared of any kind of spider. Twilight stated, looking to Applejack, Dash, and Pinkie Pie. Ain't, they used showed up during harvest time and we was too busy to come into town. Apple Bloom kept that one swarming the homestead outta the farmhouse and outta our way. Spiders pretty good at taking care of any bug problems we got, but all that webbing plays havoc with harvesting. Wasn't afraid, just know, busy. Rainbow Dash stated with Applejack frowning at her. What part of as big as your head do you misunderstand? Pinkie Pie demanded. Right. Twilight sighed. Ross considered a moment. Bark. Fluttershy frowned a little and Pinkie Pie shuddered. Twilight just rolled her eyes. No, Ross, I doubt they taste good. Bark. Ross countered. Yes, I am sure magic had to do with getting to that size, but remember when you ate that Vespid moth as a pup? You were sick for 2 weeks and it was chock full of magic. You said it tasted like rancid milk. Twilight grumbled as Ross stuck his tongue out at the memory. While we are on the subject, I have a question if you don't mind. Fluttershy whispered. Go ahead. Twilight stated. I mean, we have been getting to know each other better on this trip. Yeah, feels like we've been walking for weeks. Pinkie Pie stated, glaring at the writer. Well, I know he eats meat, a lot of animals I know do, but how does Ross eat magic? Fluttershy asked. Same way he eats meat. By biting it a lot. Twilight chuckled as her brother rolled his eyes. It's a bit more complex than that, and he doesn't need to eat magic to survive due to his connection with me. But it's kinda like a treat, I suppose. Woof. Ross corrected. Yeah, like I said, there's more to it than that. He does eat more than meat, it's just the majority of his diet. He's not a true carnivore in that case, I suppose, Twilight continued. I suppose he could eat one or the other without starving, but we've never really tested that, and it's not as if our connection can be severed easily enough to see if he can live on meat alone. Twilight continued. That familiar thing ya was talking about before? Applejack asked. How does that even work? Princess Celestia explained it as a connection he has to both my brothers and I. Shinings is weaker and he can't really understand Ross, but Spike and I can. There's also the magical synergy where a spell cast on Spike or I will also show up on Ross, and one cast on Ross will show up on Spike, myself, and Shining Armor. The princess also said the connection helps limit magical surges and forces me to exercise my magic more even when I'm not actively using it. Sounds rather dangerous, darling. What if Nightmare targets him to take you out too? Rarity offered. You would think that would be an issue. Go ahead and try to cast something on Ross. Twilight chuckled. Bork. Ross complained. Oh shush, it will be fine. It's not like we haven't done this experiment before. Twilight chided. Rarity blinked, looking between Ross and Twilight before the Moondog finally shrugged and nodded to her. With that okay from her target, Rarity's horn lit up as she cast a basic spell to change the color of Ross's coat. That garish thing needed to match something. After a few moments of concentration, Rarity's horn faded and she blinked, shaking her head. That was one of the strangest things I think I have ever felt. Rarity stated. What happened? Rainbow Dash asked. I tried to change the color of his coat and it was like trying to ice skate on a pool of melted butter, the spell wouldn't focus on him at all. I cast it, but it always felt like it hit him and simply slid off, Rarity explained. That's how spells work around him. It needs to be a particularly powerful or focused caster to make anything stick, and even some pony like Princess Celestia has to put more power into her spells than one would think to affect him with them for very long. Twilight shrugged. Shining and I don't have any issue really casting spells on him, but they don't last very long and it's easier to cast the spell on ourselves and let the effects encompass Ross, than to try and cast anything directly on him. But even those don't last long. No one knows why. He's like a great big mystery wrapped in an enigma sprinkled with questions and loving frosted with glucose. Pinkie Pie chimed in. And he's not even a crunchy frog. By this point Twilight and Ross had simply learned to smile and nod with half of what Pinkie Pie said. Applejack claimed that was the first step to become citizens of Ponyville. Twilight wasn't sure how she felt about that, she rather liked these five and Spike had made friends as well. She wasn't sure about Ross but he, Fluttershy, Applejack, and oddly Rarity, seemed to be getting along all right. There it is! Applejack called out. Asterisk. Rushing up to where Applejack was, the seven of them gazed out over a mist-filled chasm towards a crumbling castle on the other side. The ruin was massive and covered in creeping vines and plants. A large oak door sat bare in the middle of the near wall, with the overgrown path leading up to it. Mist floated and drifted around the castle obscuring the other side at times rolling over the area like a thick fog. Here we are, backside of Tha Castle, right where I said it'd be. Applejack smiled proudly. Falls are what's making all Tha mist, river plunges down into Tha gorge around Tha other side of Tha Castle. Hold on, I thought you said there was a bridge. Pinkie Pie asked. I see it. Looks like it fell. Rainbow Dash pointed down into the mist. Woof. Ross stated as he sniffed one of the stone pillars holding the bridge ropes. Yeah, there is a pretty strong enchantment on it. I guess that's how it remained undamaged after all this time, same as that door over there. Twilight pointed out. But why would it fall now if it was enchanted? Fluttershy questioned. Obviously whatever is trying to stop us must have cut the bridge or untied it, darling. Rarity hypothesized. It seems to be the thing's modus operandi. Ross perked his ears as he and Twilight looked back at Rarity curiously at her use of the words. I read a number of detective novels, Rarity huffed. Don't judge. Yeah, I got this. Rainbow Dash stated, leaping off the ledge and spreading her wings as she dove into the mist. Be careful, Rainbow. Fluttershy chided. It took a few moments before Rainbow Dash came back into view, pulling up the other end of the rope bridge, lifting it up to the other side of the chasm. She looped one section around the stone before flying back across the chasm to the group. Hey AJ, lemme get your rope, I wanna make sure this thing's on there tight. Rainbow Dash stated. Sure thing. AJ said, hoofing it over. How's it look? Like it was cut, Rarity called it. Dash smirked, darting back over to the other side. The group watched as Rainbow Dash managed to secure part of the bridge before she stopped and turned to something behind her. What is she doing? Pinkie Pie asked as Ross sniffed the air. Grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr Twilight winced as she looked across the ravine. Asterisk. Who's there? Rainbow Dash demanded, hearing something in the roiling mist calling her name. She reared up on her back legs like a boxer, jabbing her hooves into the air as she danced about looking for the source. I ain't scared of you. Show yourself. We have been eagerly awaiting the arrival of the best flyer in Equestria, the voice stated, oozing charm. Who? Rainbow Dash blinked. Why, you of course, the voice sounded a little annoyed. Really? Me? I mean, of course, hey, you wouldn't mind telling the Wonderbolts that, would you? Rainbow Dash smirked. 'Cause I've been trying to get into that group, like forever. No, Rainbow Dash, we want you to join us. There was a sound of hooves as a trio of dark forms galloped out of the mist. The Shadow Bolts. Rainbow Dash whistled at the black and purple uniforms the trio were wearing. The gold goggles were a bit creepy, and the grin on the face of the smoke-colored mare in the middle didn't ease the creepy factor any. Still, the outfits were pretty neat. We are the greatest aerial team in the Everfree, soon we will be the best in all Equestria. The smoke-colored mare spoke. But to do that we need a captain. The Magnificent. Yep, Rainbow agreed. Swiftest. Rainbow nodded. Bravest flyer in all the land. The mare cooed. Yep, it's all true. Rainbow Dash beamed. We need, the mare smiled whispering in Dash's ear. You. Woohoo, sign me up. Rainbow Dash shouted. Let me tie the bridge real quick and then we can. No. The mare shouted zipping up in front of the Cyan Pegasus. She and the stallions taking up points on either side of the mare, blocking Rainbow Dash from getting to the bridge. It's them or us, the mare hissed. Rainbow blinked hearing Twilight yelling something from the other side of the chasm. She glanced back as the mist billowed up blocking the rest of the group from view. Well? The mare demanded. You. The mare grinned. Thank you for the offer, I mean. Rainbow Dash corrected, but I'm afraid I have to say no. The mare growled, well that's too bad. You would have made a good captain. Hee well thanks. Rainbow chuckled. I'm sure you'll make a good corpse as well, the mare hissed. The mistress ordered you stopped. What? Dash blinked, dodging aside mostly on instinct as one of the Pegasus stallions lashed out with a wing. A few strands of her rainbow-colored mane fluttered free, sliced off by feathers that had formed into blades. What? Aw crap! Dash cursed, ducking back from another series of swipes. One of the stallions flew up above her, kicking down at her as the mare moved to block her retreat. You guys don't take rejection well, do you? Rainbow Dash quipped. Asterisk. I don't like this idea, Ross, but I will admit you are right. Twilight muttered as her brother nodded. Who was that with her over there? Applejack questioned. Bad news, I'm sure. Rarity frowned. Twilight, what do we do? What are you doing? Featherfall, light form, impact shield. Twilight frowned, her horn glowing brightly as waves of magic washed over her. That's the best I can do right now, and it won't last long, are you ready? Woof! Ross nodded, darting back along the path away from the chasm. Once he was a short distance away, he dropped to all fours and rushed forward towards the edge of the chasm, springing off the edge. While it was an awesome jump, it became quickly clear the Moondog wasn't going to make it more than halfway across the cliff. Before anyone could shout in panic, Twilight's horn glowed brightly and another spell washed over her, lifting her a pony's length off the ground. Ross was suddenly yanked up into the sky as well as the levitation kicked in, pulling him upwards into an arc that would see him land on the other side of the chasm. Bombs away! Pinkie Pie shouted. Asterisk. You will serve the mistress or you will die. The Shadow Bolt mare hissed. Sorry, I'm not into that sort of thing. That would explain your gimp suits though. Dash taunted. Wait, is your mistress black snooty? Rainbow Dash darted to the side, wincing as one of the feather blades nicked her ear, drawing blood. These guys weren't playing around. She could easily take these chumps if they weren't cheating. Seriously, how did they do that with their wings? The fight paused a moment as the combatants heard a shout from across the chasm. Bombs away! What? The Shadow Bolt mare hissed, yelping in surprise as a large form dropped out of the fog, landing hard atop one of the stallions. There was a loud crack of what sounded like a spine or rib snapping, and the Pegasus was pinned to the ground by the large form. The dark-clothed pony faded into a purple mist which dissipated into nothing under the canine's claws. The Moondog lifted his head with a growl, his amber eyes darting between the other two Shadow Bolts and Rainbow's bleeding ear. Rainbow Dash moved before anyone else could and planted both her rear hooves into the face of the second stallion. His head snapped up hard and he faded into mist as well from the impact. Like the first stallion, the mist condensed into a purple cloud filled with stars. The cloud existed for about 2 more seconds before the sharp jaws of Ross snapped closed around the dark magic creation, ending its existence. Ross made a face and looked like he was going to vomit. What? Did it taste like licorice or something? Rainbow asked as Ross nodded. No. This can't be. I need to tell the mistress, the Shadow Bolt mare panicked, darting off towards the castle. Woof. Ross pointed at the bridge before rushing off after the mare, leaving Rainbow confused a moment before she realized what he wanted, and she quickly went to secure the bridge. Asterisk. Twilight rushed across the bridge first, barely allowing Dash to finish tying it. Where is he? Where did he go? Twilight demanded. He took off after one of those Shadow Bolt guys. Rainbow Dash stated as she bound the rest of the bridge tighter. That was awesome, he dropped in here like a rock and helped me take out 2 of them. I mean, I had them on the ropes already, but it was still pretty cool. Who were they? Applejack questioned, crossing the bridge. Called themselves the Shadow Bolts, wanted me to be their captain. Course when I refused they attacked me. And when we kicked their asses they turned into purple smoke stuff. Rainbow Dash stated. Ross ate one and I don't think he liked the taste. You refused to be a team captain? Rarity asked incredulously. Of course. Rainbow Dash snorted. I'd never leave my friends hanging. We need to go after him. If one of them ran off, it means that either they were just projection avatars or Black Snooty is leading Ross into a trap. Twilight grumbled. Or both. Black Snooty? Fluttershy asked. Twilight blinked a moment, realizing what she said before she pointed an accusing hoof at the giggling Pinkie Pie. Now she's got me doing it. Author's note. A little more exposition here and proof that the mares were talking the whole trip into the woods and getting to know one another, rather than just suddenly becoming friends as a Deus Ex moment to beat Black Snooty. Damn it, Pinkie. End author's note. End chapter 29. Friendship is Puppies. Episode 2. Part 5.